She found him slumped against wet asphalt and chrome, one hand pressed to his side where blood mixed with rain, the other cradling an infant like it was the last sacred thing in a profane world. He was dying, and when he looked up at her, his eyes promised she could be next. The rain had been falling on Philadelphia's Callowhill district for 3 hours straight. The kind of December rain that turned city streets into black mirrors and soaked through anything that wasn't leather. Zora Whitfield watched it streak the diner's plate glass window, distorting the neon open sign into something that looked like a warning. The wall clock above the coffee station read 2:17 a.m. She'd been on her feet since the dinner rush at 5, pulling a double because Kendra called out again. Probably another migraine, probably another night at that new club in Old City. Zora had done 2 tours as an Army combat medic before this. Helmand Province, then a rotation through Landstuhl Medical Center in Germany. She'd left the service 3 years ago when her mother got sick, stayed in Philly when her mother died. The diner job was supposed to be temporary, just until she figured out what came next. She was still figuring. Her lower back ached in that specific way that meant she'd been favoring her left leg again, compensating for the old shrapnel injury she told everyone was a car accident. Her last meal had been a picked-over Denver omelet someone sent back 7 hours ago, eaten standing over the prep sink between orders. The tablet behind the counter buzzed. Order complete. Cash out when you're ready. Tips. $0. Zora's jaw tightened. Table 7 had been 4 college kids, 2 rounds of appetizers, entrees, desserts, the works. $40 ticket, paid with daddy's credit card, 0 tip. She pulled the receipt from the printer and crumpled it into the trash. Through the window, she watched the rain hammer the empty street. This stretch of Callowhill was industrial adjacent, caught between the gentrification creeping north from Center City and the stubborn grit of old Philadelphia. Most businesses locked up by 10. The diner stayed open until 4 for the shift workers from the hospital, the club crowd looking for disco fries and coffee, the people who had nowhere else to go. Tonight, they had 3 customers, 2 regulars at the counter nursing decaf and arguing about the Eagles, and 1 guy in the back booth who'd been there since midnight, stone-faced over a plate of eggs he hadn't touched. Zora grabbed the coffee pot for a refill round. That's when she heard it. Not thunder, not a car backfiring. Gunshots. 2 sharp cracks that cut through the rain's white noise, close enough that she felt them in her chest. The regulars at the counter looked up, confused. The guy in the back booth was already moving, sliding out fast, heading for the kitchen exit. Zora's training kicked in before thought did. She set down the coffee pot, hands steady, and moved to the window, pressed herself against the wall and looked out at an angle, the way they'd taught her in convoy operations. The street was empty. Rain hammered the pavement. A black sedan idled at the corner, headlights off, engine running. She could see the exhaust ghosting in the cold. Then she saw the umbrella, black, overturned on the wet street, ribs bent, and beyond it, nearly invisible against the dark asphalt and the shadow of a luxury car parked at the curb. A man, sitting with his back against the rear tire, legs splayed, head tilted back against the door. Even from here, even through the rain-smeared glass, Zora could see the dark stains spreading across his white dress shirt. His suit jacket was torn at the shoulder. 1 hand pressed against his ribs, the other held something small and pale against his chest. A baby, wrapped in what might have been a blanket, might have been his jacket. The infant's face was barely visible, but Zora knew that shape, that size. 6 months, maybe younger. The man's head turned. For 1 crystalline second, his eyes found hers through the window. Even across the distance, even through the rain and glass and neon distortion, the look was unmistakable. Asterisk. Stay away. Asterisk. Not a plea. A command. Zora's pulse was steady, her breathing controlled, her mind already cataloging details the way it had in triage tents and field hospitals. Gunshot wound, right side. The way he was holding it meant probably liver or kidney involvement. Significant blood loss based on the spread, shock setting in given his posture. The baby wasn't crying. That was wrong, babies cried. Babies that young should be wailing in the cold and wet, unless the baby couldn't cry anymore. Behind her, one of the regulars said, "Zoe, you seeing this?" She didn't answer. She was already moving, pushing through the diner's front door into the rain. It hit her like a wall, instantly soaking through her uniform shirt, plastering her order pad against her hip. The cold was vicious. She crossed the street at a jog, not running. Running drew attention and came around the front of the luxury car. A Mercedes, black, probably cost more than she'd make in 5 years. The driver's side window was shattered, blood on the headrest. The man watched her approach. Up close, he was younger than she'd thought, maybe 35, Korean, with sharp features and black hair slicked back from a face that might have been handsome before pain carved it into something harder. The blood on his shirt was dark and thick, still flowing. His hand trembled against the wound. The baby in his arms was so small. Too small. Wrapped in a men's dress shirt, fine cotton, monogrammed, the infant's lips were slightly blue. "Walk away," the man said. His English was unaccented but tight with pain. "Walk away, or you die here." Zora dropped to a crouch beside him, ignoring the water soaking through her jeans. She didn't touch him yet. Instead, she looked at the baby, checking respiration, color, responsiveness, breathing. Shallow, but there. Cold, possibly hypothermic, but alive. "That baby dies if you bleed out," Zora said flatly. "You're hitting maybe 5 more minutes before you lose consciousness, 10 before exsanguination. So either shoot me now or let me help. But make it fast, because we don't have time for this macho bullshit." His eyes narrowed. He was weighing her, calculating. His free hand shifted, and she saw the gun for the first time. A Glock, maybe a 19, held low against his thigh. His finger was on the frame, not the trigger. Yet, "You a doctor?" he asked. "Close enough. Army medic 2 tours, trauma certified. I can keep you breathing long enough to get inside." She jerked her head toward the diner. "Or you can sit here and wait for whoever shot you to come back and finish the job." As if summoned by her words, the black sedan at the corner revved its engine. The man's jaw clenched. For a heartbeat, Zora thought he might actually shoot her just to keep his secret. Then he looked down at the baby in his arms, and something in his expression fractured. "If you run, I will find you," he said quietly. "If you call police, I will kill you. If you tell anyone what you see, yeah, death and horror, I get it." Zora moved in, already assessing. "Can you stand?" "Yes." "Then do it." "Give me the baby." He hesitated. The most dangerous moment, when trust had to override instinct. Then, slowly, he extended the infant toward her. Zora took the baby carefully, feeling how cold the small body was, how the little chest fluttered with rapid, shallow breaths. "Come on," she said. She stood, cradling the baby against her chest, using her body to shield it from the rain. "Back entrance, move." The man pushed himself up the car door, using it for leverage, the gun disappearing somewhere into his ruined suit. He swayed, caught himself, and took one step, then another. Behind them, the black sedan's doors opened. "Move times now, asterisk," Zora snapped. They ran. The back door slammed behind them as headlights swept the street. Zora didn't look back. She carried the baby through the narrow hallway past the restrooms, shouldering through the kitchen's swinging door. The fluorescent lights were harsh after the darkness, turning everything into sharp edges and sterile white. "Lock it," she told him. Front and back. He moved without question, one hand pressed to his side, leaving a trail of blood drops across the tile. Zora heard the deadbolt click on the back door, then his unsteady footsteps toward the dining room. The regulars were already gone, smart enough to disappear when trouble walked in. She heard the front door lock turn, the blinds rattle closed. The baby made a small sound against her chest, a weak mewling that worried her more than crying would have. She laid the infant on the stainless steel prep table, unwrapping the makeshift blanket. A boy, maybe 4 months old, wearing a onesie that probably cost more than her rent. His lips were still blue, his skin cold and clammy, not critical yet, but close. She grabbed clean kitchen towels from the stack by the dishwasher, wrapping them around the baby's small body, tucking the edges tight. Then she cranked the industrial oven to its lowest setting and left the door open, angling the table to catch the heat without being too close. The warmth would help, slowly, safely. The man reappeared in the doorway, swaying. His shirt was completely soaked through now, rain and blood indistinguishable. "Table, now!" Zora pointed to the larger prep station. "Shirt off." He complied, moving like each step cost him. Up close, she could see he was younger than she'd thought, maybe early 30s. When he peeled the shirt away, she saw the tattoo first, an elaborate 7-headed dragon that covered his entire back in black and gray ink, each head breathing stylized flames. Then she saw the wound, entry wound right side, just above the hip. No exit wound, which meant the bullet was still in there, probably lodged against bone or organ tissue. Blood flow was steady, but not arterial. That was good. It meant she had time. "What's your name?" she asked, pulling supplies from the shelves. Bourbon from the bar stock, the good stuff they used for flambe, a clean sewing kit from her locker, needle and thread she used to repair her uniform. Cloth napkins, a lighter, Quan Mu Jin, he said. His voice was steadier than it should be for someone who'd lost this much blood. "Zora, this is going to hurt." She poured bourbon over her hands, then over the wound. He didn't flinch, didn't make a sound, just gripped the edge of the table until his knuckles went white. She threaded the needle, held it in the lighter's flame until the metal glowed. No anesthetic, no proper surgical tools, just battlefield medicine in a kitchen that smelled like coffee and grease. "The baby," he said. First, Zora glanced at the small bundled form on the other table. Color already better, breathing more regular. "He's stable. You're not. Hold still." She began to sew. He came back to consciousness with the kind of control that told Zora he'd done this before, waking up from pain, from blood loss, from situations where showing weakness meant death. His eyes opened and found hers immediately, assessing threat level before anything else. "Don't move," she said. "I'm almost done." She was cleaning the area around the wound, wiping away dried blood with cloth napkins soaked in warm water. The stitches were crude but functional, the kind that would hold until he could get proper medical attention. If he lived that long, the bullet was still inside him, but she couldn't do anything about that here. Digging around for it would kill him faster than leaving it alone. His breathing was shallow but steady. She'd gotten fluids into him, water with salt and sugar mixed in, the closest thing to saline she could manage. It was enough to keep him conscious, keep his blood pressure from bottoming out completely. "The baby," he said. "Sleeping, warming up. He'll be okay." Zora wrung out the cloth and started on his back, wiping down the tattoo. Up close, it was even more elaborate than she'd first seen. 7 dragon heads, each one different, each breathing a different pattern of flames. The artwork was museum quality, the kind that took years and cost a fortune. "This is some serious ink." "Chil Seong Pa," he said quietly. "The 7 stars." Zora's hand paused. She'd been in Philly long enough to hear things, to know which neighborhoods you avoided after dark, which names you didn't say out loud. Korean organized crime wasn't as visible as the Italian families or the Irish crews, but they were there, operating in the shadows of Koreatown and the International Shipping District. "Your syndicate," she said, not a question. "I times am times the syndicate." His voice was matter of fact, not boastful. "Dragonhead, the keeper of order in this territory. From New York to Baltimore, my word is law." Zora kept cleaning, processing this information the way she'd learned to process bad news in the field. Stay calm, stay focused, deal with the immediate problem first. And someone broke that law. My second in command. He calls himself the Viper now. Mujin's jaw tightened. "He wants my position. He staged a coup during the quarterly meeting, killed 4 of my lieutenants. Would have killed me and my son if my driver hadn't gotten us out." "Your driver's dead," Zora said. She'd seen the blood in the front seat, the shattered window. "I know." Something flickered in his eyes. Grief maybe, or just calculation. "The Viper won't stop. He can't. If I live, I come back for him. If he lets me live, he looks weak. This ends with one of us dead." Zora tossed the bloody cloth into the industrial sink and met his gaze directly. "And you brought that war to my doorstep. I didn't bring it anywhere. You came out into the street." His expression hardened. "I told you to walk away." "Yeah, well, Zora pulled fresh towels from the shelf, started bandaging the wound properly. I'm not great at following orders. Army taught me that. The front window exploded inward at 3:47 a.m. Zora had exactly enough time to register the sound of shattering glass before Mujin moved, faster than someone with a bullet in his side should be able to move. He grabbed her arm and yanked her down behind the prep table as gunfire tore through the kitchen, punching holes in the stainless steel, shattering bottles on the shelves above their heads. The baby started screaming. Zora's training kicked in hard and cold. She combat crawled to the other prep table where the infant lay, scooped him up, and pressed him against her chest, one hand cupping his head. The shooting stopped. In the sudden silence, she could hear footsteps crunching through broken glass in the dining room. 3 sets, maybe 4. Mujin had the Glock out, checking the magazine with practiced efficiency. His face was gray with pain, sweat beading his forehead, but his hands were steady. He looked at her and mouthed one word. Asterisk where? Asterisk. Zora pointed toward the back corner of the kitchen, where the old coal chute access sat behind a stack of supply boxes. The building dated back to the 20s, when everything ran on coal furnaces. The chute had been sealed up decades ago, but she'd been down there once when a water pipe burst. Knew it connected to a tunnel that ran under the street to what used to be the coal yard. Mujin nodded once. Understood. The footsteps were closer now. Zora heard someone speaking in Korean, voice cold and professional. Mujin's expression turned to stone. He rose to a crouch, fired 3 shots toward the dining room without looking, then grabbed her shoulder. Move, now. They ran low and fast. Zora clutched the baby with one arm, used the other to shove boxes aside, revealing the metal access panel. It was rusted shut. Mujin put 2 bullets into the lock and kicked it open. The smell that rolled out was ancient decay and stagnant water. Behind them, someone shouted, "More gunfire! Closer now!" tearing through the kitchen. A bullet sparked off the oven door inches from Zora's head. Go, Mujin said, and shoved her toward the opening. Zora went through feet first, holding the baby tight, landing in ankle-deep water that was probably half sewage. The tunnel was pitch black and claustrophobic, maybe 4 feet high. She heard Mujin drop down behind her, heard him grunt in pain as the impact jarred his wound. Above them, something hissed. Chemical smell, sharp and wrong. Run, Mujin said. They ran, hunched over in the darkness, splashing through water, the baby's cries echoing off stone walls. Behind them, the hiss grew louder. Then came the sound like a massive indrawn breath. The explosion hit as they reached the far end of the tunnel. The shockwave slammed into Zora's back, throwing her forward into the ladder that led up to the old coal yard. Her ears rang. The baby was still crying, which meant he was alive. She climbed. They came up through a grate in an alley, 3 blocks east, emerging into the rain like survivors of a shipwreck. Behind them, orange light painted the sky. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. Zora's diner was burning, and with it, the last piece of her normal life. The baby had stopped crying, shocked into silence or exhausted. Zora checked him quickly under a flickering streetlight, breathing, responsive, terrified but alive. Mujin leaned against the brick wall, his makeshift bandage soaked through with fresh blood. The run through the tunnel had torn something open. We need a car, he said. Supplies. Somewhere to go to ground. Zora's mind raced through options, discarding each one. Her apartment was 15 minutes away, but they'd find it. She had friends, but none she'd trust with this. Then she thought of Marcus, and her stomach twisted with something that wasn't quite regret. I know a place, she said. 10-minute walk. Guy owes me a favor. Mujin's eyes narrowed. What kind of guy? The kind who has a car and doesn't ask questions. She started walking before he could interrogate her further. Marcus lived in a converted warehouse in Fishtown, one of those loft apartments that pretended to be industrial chic, but was really just cheap construction and exposed pipes. Zora had given him $3,000 8 months ago when his gambling debts got serious enough that bookies were making threats. He'd promised to pay her back. She'd known better than to believe him. She buzzed his apartment at 4:30 a.m. After the 3rd attempt, his voice crackled through the speaker, thick with sleep. What the Zora? The hell you doing here? I need help, let me up. The door buzzed. They climbed 3 flights, Mu-jin moving slower with each step, leaving a blood trail on the concrete stairs. When Marcus opened his apartment door, his eyes went wide, taking in Zora, soaking wet and covered in soot, the baby in her arms, the Asian man behind her who looked like death walking. Jesus Christ, Zoe, what did you do? Can we come in, or not? He stepped aside. The apartment was exactly as she remembered it. Unmade bed, takeout containers on the counter, sports betting tickets scattered across the coffee table. Marcus himself looked worse than when she'd last seen him, thinner, stubble grown out into a patchy beard, wearing sweatpants and a stained t-shirt. His eyes kept sliding to Mu-jin, who had positioned himself by the window, watching the street below with professional paranoia. "This your new boyfriend?" Marcus asked, and there was an edge to it, something bitter and proprietary that made Zora's jaw clench. "He's someone who needs help. I need your car, Marcus, and cash if you have it." "Yeah? What do I get?" "You get to still owe me $3,000 instead of owing me your life." Mu-jin spoke up, his voice cold. "How long were you together?" Marcus straightened, defensive. "That's none of your..." "How long?" 2 years, Zora said flatly. "Ancient history." Marcus, the car. But Marcus was looking at Mu-jin now, really looking, taking in the expensive suit, the tattoo visible at his collar, the gun poorly concealed under his jacket. She saw the moment recognition clicked, the moment Marcus did the math and came up with a very dangerous sum. "I need to make a call first," Marcus said. "Just let me make one call." Zora heard the phone unlock in the next room, heard Marcus's voice drop to a whisper. Every instinct she'd honed in combat zones started screaming. She looked at Mu-jin. He was already moving, crossing the apartment in 3 strides despite his wound, shouldering through the bedroom door. There was a brief struggle, the sound of the phone clattering to the floor. Then Mu-jin emerged, dragging Marcus by the collar. "Who did you call?" Mu-jin's voice was surgical, precise. "Nobody, man, I swear." Mu-jin pressed the Glock against Marcus's kneecap. "The truth buys you the ability to walk, lies buy you a wheelchair." Okay, Marcus's voice cracked. "I called a number. Guy who collects debts. He told me if I ever saw anything worth knowing, anyone worth finding, there'd be money in it. Good money. He showed me pictures, Korean guys, said they were looking for." His eyes slid to Mu-jin, and he went pale. Oh shit, you're him, you're the dragon head." Zora felt something cold settle in her chest. "How much, Marcus?" $50,000. He said $50,000 for a location, 100 if I could keep you here until... The window exploded. Zora dropped, covering the baby with her body as bullets chewed through the apartment. The coffee table disintegrated. The television screen shattered. Mu-jin dove behind the kitchen counter, returning fire through the broken window. Marcus scrambled toward the door, hands over his head, screaming. "Keys!" Zora shouted. "Marcus, where are your keys?" "Hook by the door, but Zoe, you can't." More gunfire. The front door splintered as someone kicked it from the outside. Mu-jin shot through it blind, buying seconds. Zora lunged for the key hook, grabbed the car fob, and ran for the fire escape window on the opposite wall. Marcus grabbed her arm. "You leave with him, they'll kill you. Just give them the baby. Give them him, you can walk away." She didn't think. Her elbow snapped back into his face, felt his nose break, felt him stumble backward. Then Mu-jin was there, pistol whipping Marcus across the temple. He went down hard. "Go," Mu-jin said. The fire escape was rusted and swayed under their weight as they descended. Below, in the street, a black SUV was pulling up. Above, someone was shouting in Korean from Marcus's window. They were trapped between floors, exposed, nowhere to run. Mu-jin grabbed the metal railing and kicked out, hard, until the bolts holding the lowest ladder gave way. It crashed down to the pavement below, and they dropped the last 8 feet. Zora landed in a crouch, absorbing the impact, keeping the baby safe. Mu-jin landed badly, his legs buckling, fresh blood blooming through his shirt. But he was up, moving, pointing to a beat-up Honda Civic parked at the curb. "That's his?" "Drive," Mu-jin said, already limping toward the passenger side. Behind them, Marcus appeared in his doorway, blood streaming from his nose, shouting something Zora didn't wait to hear. She was already sliding behind the wheel, the baby in her lap, the engine turning over. She drove. They abandoned the Civic in Fairmount Park and went underground through an old maintenance entrance Zora remembered from her teenage years, when she and her friends would explore the abandoned sections of the subway system. The tunnels were cold and dark and smelled like rust and rats, but they were invisible down here, off the grid, unreachable. Moojin's fever started 6 hours later. The babies began 2 hours after that. Zora felt the infant's forehead in the dim light of her phone's dying battery and cursed. The child was burning up, his small body fighting an infection from exposure, from the cold tunnel water, from being dragged through a war zone at 4 months old. His breathing was rapid and shallow, his cries weak. "He needs medicine," she said. "Antibiotics, fever reducer, fluids." Moojin was propped against the tunnel wall 20 feet away, shivering despite the coat they'd stolen from a homeless encampment. His wound was infected too. She could smell it, the sweet sick odor of tissue going septic. He was fading, and he knew it. "Take my wallet," he said. "There's cash, credit cards, but they'll track those. I'm not leaving you here to die. Then we all die here together." His voice was matter of fact. The baby first. Always the baby first. Zora looked at the infant in her arms, at his flushed cheeks and glazed eyes, and made her decision. She wrapped him in her jacket, made a nest of stolen blankets in the safest corner she could find, then put Moojin's gun in his hand. "You shoot anything that comes down here that isn't me," she said. "You understand?" He nodded, fingers closing around the Glock. She went up through a different exit, emerging near a 24-hour Walgreens on Market Street. It was 3 a.m., and the city felt like it was holding its breath. Police cruisers were everywhere, more than usual, their lights painting the wet streets in red and blue. She kept her hood up and her head down, just another person moving through the night. The pharmacy had a security guard, but he was focused on his phone. Zora walked the aisles like she belonged there, picking up children's Tylenol, amoxicillin from behind the counter while the pharmacist was in the back, sterile gauze, bottled water. She kept a $20 bill visible in her hand, the universal sign of someone who intended to pay. But when she got to the register and saw the security guard looking at her more closely, saw him reach for his radio, she ran, out through the automatic doors, into the rain, the guard shouting behind her. She cut through an alley, vaulted a fence that sent pain shooting through her bad leg, and lost herself in the maze of side streets until the sirens faded. When she dropped back into the tunnel, breathless and soaked, Moojin was exactly where she'd left him. But he was looking at her differently now, his eyes tracking her movements as she knelt beside the baby and measured out medicine with shaking hands. "You came back," he said quietly. "I told you I would. Most people lie." Zora got the fever reducer into the baby, then started cleaning Moojin's wound with stolen supplies. "Yeah, well, I'm not most people." Moojin's fever broke at dawn, the kind of crisis moment where the body either surrenders or fights back. Zora watched him shake through it, his skin burning under her hands as she pressed cool water from a stolen bottle against his forehead, his neck, anywhere she could reach to bring the temperature down. The baby slept fitfully beside them, breathing easier now that the medicine had taken hold. In the gray light filtering through a grate somewhere above, Zora could see the full extent of what they'd survived: the blood, the dirt, the exhaustion carved into every line of Moojin's face. When he finally opened his eyes, they were clear again, present. "I thought I'd lost you," she said, and was surprised by how much truth was in those words. "You almost did." His voice was hoarse. "The coup, the Viper. You want to know why? Does it matter? It matters to me." He pushed himself up to sitting, wincing as the movement pulled at his wound. "The Viper wanted to expand our operations. Prostitution, gambling, drugs, that's expected, that's the business. But he wanted to add trafficking. Children, selling them to overseas buyers, to people who..." His jaw clenched. "I said no. I have a son. I draw lines." Zora thought about the baby sleeping beside them, about the way Moojin had held him in the rain even while bleeding out, had asked about him before himself every single time, A monster with a code, a killer with boundaries. It shouldn't have made sense, but down here in the dark, covered in each other's blood, it was the only thing that did. So he killed your people and came for you. He killed my people and came for my legitimacy. In our world, you challenge the dragonhead. You either take his place or die trying. There's no middle ground. Mu Jin looked at her directly. You understand what you've done? Helping me? You've chosen a side. The Viper won't forgive that. The Viper burned down my livelihood and chased me through the city. I chose a side when I dragged you out of the street. Something shifted in his expression, something raw and unguarded. Why did you? I told you to walk away. Zora didn't have a good answer. Or maybe she had too many answers, and none of them made sense in the light of day. The baby, she said finally. I couldn't let him die. Just the baby? The air between them felt charged, heavy with things unsaid. Zora was suddenly aware of how close they were sitting, how her hand was still resting on his chest, feeling the rise and fall of his breathing, how his eyes hadn't left hers. I don't know, she said honestly. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Neither do I. His hand came up, fingertips touching her jaw, gentle despite the calluses. I only know I'm alive because of you. My son is alive because of you. When he kissed her, it tasted like desperation and survival, and something deeper that Zora didn't want to name. She kissed him back, her hands fisting in his ruined shirt, pulling him closer despite the wounds, despite the danger, despite every reason this was a terrible idea. They broke apart, breathing hard, foreheads pressed together in the darkness. We survived this, Mu Jin said. And I give you everything. Mu Jin spent the next 2 days making phone calls on a burner phone he'd had Zora steal from a convenience store. Quiet conversations in Korean, his voice carrying the weight of command even from a subway tunnel. By the 3rd day, loyalists started appearing hard men with harder eyes, who brought weapons, clean clothes, intel. The Viper had taken over Mu Jin's headquarters in Koreatown, a legitimate import-export business that fronted the syndicate's real operations. He was consolidating power, eliminating loose ends, and bragging about killing the dragonhead. The longer Mu Jin stayed hidden, the more permanent the Viper's claim became. We go in tonight, Mu Jin said, studying blueprints spread across the tunnel floor. His fever was gone, his wound healing cleaner now with proper antibiotics. Hit them during the shift change when security is transitional, 12 of us against maybe 30 of his. Terrible odds, one of his men said. We've survived worse. Mu Jin looked at Zora. You and the baby stay with Kim. He'll take you somewhere safe, give you money to disappear. No, every man in the tunnel turned to look at her. She met Mu Jin's eyes and didn't blink. I've kept you alive for 4 days. I've stolen for you, run for you, bled for you. You don't get to bench me now. This isn't your fight. The hell it isn't. The Viper burned my life down, and someone needs to be there to keep you from dying heroically before you finish the job. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. You said you'd give me everything. You meant it? His jaw tightened. Yes. Then give me trust. Let me help. The plan they settled on was insane, which meant it might actually work. Zora would walk in the front entrance as Mu Jin's hostage, claiming she'd captured him and wanted to negotiate a price for his location. It would get her close to the Viper, into the building past security. Once inside, she'd signal the assault team waiting in the parking garage. They dressed her like someone desperate, cheap jacket, hair disheveled, a theatrical bruise painted on her cheek with eyeshadow. Mu Jin's men gave her a wire, taught her the signal phrase in Korean. The baby went with Kim, bundled and safe, to a location Mu Jin wouldn't even tell her. If this goes wrong, Mu Jin started. It won't. If it does, you run. You disappear. You never look back. He gripped her shoulders. Promise me. Zora thought about promising, about lying to make him feel better. Instead, she kissed him hard and fast. Let's not find out. The building was glass and steel, gleaming and legitimate on the outside. Zora walked through the lobby at 11 p.m., hands raised, asking for the Viper in broken, nervous English. Security grabbed her, searched her, found nothing but a phone with a single message thread. They took her upstairs. The Viper was younger than she expected, handsome in an expensive suit, with a smile that never reached his eyes. He looked at the message on her phone coordinates to a subway tunnel and laughed. "You think I'm stupid enough to believe some random woman captured Kwon Moo Jin?" Zora met his eyes. "I think you're stupid enough to die tonight." She spoke the signal phrase in perfect Korean. The lights went out. The restaurant opened on a cold March evening, all glass and candlelight, and the kind of quiet elegance that whispered money without shouting it. Zora stood on the balcony overlooking the main floor, watching the Philadelphia elite mingle below politicians, business owners, the kind of people who made the city run behind closed doors. On paper, she was the operations manager. In reality, she ran the syndicate's logistics supply chains, distribution networks, the legitimate businesses that fronted the illegal ones. She'd learned the organization in 3 months, memorized it the way she'd once memorized field medicine protocols. Moo Jin called her his left hand. His men called her the Queen of Scars. She wore a black dress tonight, simple and expensive, with her natural hair in loose curls and the only jewelry a thin gold chain at her throat. The woman in the mirror looked nothing like the waitress who'd saved a dying man in the rain. That woman was gone, burned away in the same fire that took the diner. Moo Jin appeared beside her, sliding an arm around her waist. He wore a tailored suit that hid the scar on his ribs, his hair styled back from his face, every inch the legitimate businessman. Only Zora saw the calculation in his eyes, the way he tracked every person in the room, assessed every threat. "The mayor just asked about investing in our import business," he said quietly. "I told him we'd consider it." Translation: "He wants protection, we want his permits. You learn quickly. I had a good teacher." Below them, Kim appeared carrying the baby 7 months old now, healthy and thriving, wearing a tiny suit that made Zora's chest ache. The boy had started recognizing her as his mother sometime in the last month, reaching for her when he was tired, crying when she left the room. She hadn't planned on loving him, but intent meant nothing against the reality of 3 a.m., feedings, and first smiles. Moo Jin took his son, held him with the easy confidence of someone who'd learned to balance fatherhood and violence without letting either suffer. The baby grabbed at his father's tie, gurgling happily. "This is what we built," Moo Jin said, looking out over the restaurant, over the city beyond the windows. From ashes and blood and a woman who refused to walk away. Zora leaned into him, felt the solid warmth of his body, the steady rhythm of his breathing. 3 months ago, she'd been a waitress counting tips and eating day-old eggs. Now she stood in a kingdom of shadows, wearing expensive clothes and making decisions that shaped the city's underworld. She should have felt guilty, should have mourned who she used to be. Instead, she felt alive. "No regrets?" Moo Jin asked softly. Zora looked at him, at their son, at the empire they'd carved from nothing. She thought about the diner burning, about Marcus's betrayal, about the moment in the tunnel when she'd chosen this life over any other. "Not a single one," she said, and meant it. The baby laughed, the sound bright and pure in the elegant space, and below them, the city carried on, never knowing who truly held the leash.